Life isn't getting any better, and I'm starting to really be done with everything. I, 29M, used to be the applied student. Good grades, good behavior, teachers liked me without being their pet, but school was my only tranquility time away from home. In my house, I had to clean and tidy up because my mother didn't do chores or do them poorly. My father wanted good results, so if I had a single 8 in my grades, he would have a meltdown. I didn't have the chance or even the right to have mistakes. Having good grades was my only way to be safe, and it didn't help me when my second older brother started beating me up because of his depression, since he was struggling with grades to the point of being taken to special needs school. And what was my first older brother doing despite everything going on? In his room isolated, not doing a thing to protect me from the other brother. Or he was standing his ground against my parents, which just make them out more pressure over me to not being like my brothers. All of this was when I was just a kid. When puberty finally kicked in, I gained height and muscle, and my second brother never again lay a single finger over me. I could at least get a job. But no, my father never allowed it, since I had to focus on studying and keep the good grades, which meant just having good grades and being kept inside the house doing chores. And this continued all the way through college, despite being finally the legal adult. The moment I stood my ground and got a job, my father behind my back threatened my mother to do to her anything that would happen to me for being a waiter at a restaurant/bar at night. So, I quit after a single shift. By the time I graduated and got my degree in physics, I only had 3 months of work experience from a call center and was unemployed for a whole year until my best buddy from the career recommended me for a job as a math teacher alongside him at a technical high school. I was canceled over there. The students made hell out of that job. They accused me of everything under the sun to get me fired, but I always demonstrated my innocence and kept teaching. The direction just washed their hands and didn't hire me for the next school cycle, and didn't tell me about it until the new school cycle was about to begin. Then depression and anxiety really hit me. For the first time in my life, my mental health was pretty much non-existent, and I obviously couldn't get a job, and I was inside that house with my family that always triggered the worst part of my mind. I wrote a book as a form of therapy and finally got out of that dark place, but the pandemic hit and we all got sick. Then my father passed away. He was the greatest financial support in the house. So, now I seriously needed a job, but alas, no one hired me. My 2 brothers did get jobs and just repeated the same as my father, to work and pay bills and do nothing around the house. So there I was, 4.5 years of unemployment doing chores because family. My mother kept doing chores poorly and focused way more hanging out with her friends and helping with administrating the neighborhood. Just social things, but no house chore at all. I got many chances to get a job where I just had to say yes and start the next day, but I was so foolish and listened to my family. That's not a suitable job for you. That's beneath your career. Wait for a better paid job and such. I regret listening to them. They just wanted to keep me as a servant at the house, because they know I could do far better than them. My first older brother, despite being a valedictorian at engineering, struggled studying a master's degree program in business, but when he asked me for help, in 5 minutes I read the material, understood it and explained it to him and finally got it. If I can get things done in 5 minutes when he couldn't do it in 6 days of studying, I can learn everything he does and more. I'm, apparently, that much of a genius, but still kept as a household servant. Despite that, I had another job at a call center last year, but again got canceled. The new hires just wanted the first pay from the training and moved to the next job and did all the damage they could. The client from the campaign had me responsible for the new hires not staying at the company and pressured me into resigning. And now, once again, I'm unemployed. I don't want to be unemployed for 5 years again. I'm nearing 30 years old of age, way far from starting a master's degree in nuclear physics like I wished. And my own family disrespects me for being unemployed and treats me like a servant and not like their brother/son. I got a spine injury, so I really should focus on doing physiotherapy, but they also want to being taken care of. Despite that, I'm the A**hole for choosing myself over them, since one time I had a very painful week once and nobody even cared to bring me food or water. I had to stand up for myself and got me something despite my spine notwithstanding my own body. I don't have physical health, less mental health. I'm flat broke, unemployed, and not a single copy sold from my self-published book. Life won't get any better. 29 years of miserable existence already told me how the next 30 to 40 years are gonna be. I remember being such an innocent kid, with so much love inside that it hurt, but now I'm mostly void, numb and depressed. But hey, I'm a young man. Better toughen up and grind myself to success, or you are a man. You have no right to complain and kick me while I'm struggling. Where is the love and compassion in this cruel world? Where are the good people that would lend me a hand in my time of need? They don't exist. As my father once told me, never expect help from anyone anytime. He was preparing me for the harsh reality, but he just didn't realize how withered my mind and heart got because of the family he raised. What I regret? I regret convincing my father over and over again to not kick my brothers to the streets. I regret every single time I convinced him to not divorce my mother and hold her accountable. I regret not standing my ground against my father and brothers. I don't regret choosing my career in physics, but rather wasting my time socializing with teachers and researchers that didn't help me further my career despite being so promising. I even made my thesis in synthesis of nanostructured particles for nuclear fusion reactors inner chambers at the nanotechnology lab and know how to dismantle, clean, and reassemble vacuum chambers. I don't regret writing and pouring my heart into my fantasy novel, but rather I regret not doing it sooner in life. Everyone likes more a young writer in college than an unemployed writer in their late 20s. I'm tired, very tired of grinding, very tired of doing my best for nothing. Maybe the world was right to reject me before I was even born. AITA for not letting my brother's girlfriend stay in my guest room after she made a scene at dinner? So, I, 30F, live in a nice 2-bedroom apartment in the city. One of my bedrooms is a guest room, and my family often uses it when they come to visit. I'm close with my brother, Alex, 27M, and he recently started dating a woman, Jenna, 26F. This weekend, Alex asked if he and Jenna could stay with me while they visited the city. I said yes, of course, because I wanted to meet her, and Alex has always been respectful of my home. Things started off fine, but at dinner on the first night, Jenna made things awkward. We were eating at a nice Italian restaurant, and while we were waiting for our food, Jenna started talking about how people who rent instead of owning homes are financially irresponsible. I laughed it off at first, thinking it was a joke, but she doubled down, saying it was basically throwing money away every month. I calmly told her that I rent because I value the flexibility it gives me, especially since my job might require me to relocate in the next few years. She then said, "Well, maybe if you stopped spending so much money on eating out, you'd be able to afford a down payment." Alex looked mortified and told her to drop it, but she wouldn't. She went on to say that people like me are part of the reason the economy is so messed up because we don't prioritize homeownership. I snapped back and told her she was being rude and condescending and that my financial choices were none of her business. The rest of the dinner was tense, and when we got back to my apartment, I told Alex privately that I didn't feel comfortable having Jenna stay in my home anymore. He tried to apologize on her behalf, but I stood firm. I told him he was welcome to stay, but Jenna had to find another place. Jenna overheard and got upset, accusing me of being overly sensitive and dramatic. She said she didn't mean anything by her comments and that I was taking things too personally. Alex ended up leaving with her, and now he's upset with me, saying I overreacted and put him in an awkward position. I feel bad for making Alex choose, but at the same time, I feel like Jenna disrespected me in my own home and doubled down when called out. So, Reddit, Ida? I've lived a lie abroad for years, now everything's about to come crashing down. I came to France from an Oriental country to continue my university studies. In my first year as an undergrad, I failed and repeated the year. I didn't tell my parents. It was my first time living away from home, my first taste of adulthood, and I wasn't very responsible. My family is very modest, but my parents and brother decided to fund my studies. My brother lives in another European country, and my parents would send me money to cover everything. At first, I made some friends, but our friendship revolved only around partying and having fun. In my second year, while repeating my first academic year, I got seriously ill and had to stay in the hospital for 3 months. I missed almost half of the first semester and a lot of the second one. However, COVID meant classes were online, so I lied to my parents, telling them I was following my courses despite being sick. When I returned, I knew I was in trouble. I was going to fail and repeat the same year again. But instead of telling the truth, I lied again. I said I passed and was moving into the final year of my bachelor's. Over time, I became deeply attached to my friends. But a falling out ended that friendship. That summer, I locked myself in my room. It marked the start of a deep depression and the beginning of more problems. When fall came, I had to renew my residence permit, and I was sure it would be denied. I wrote a letter to the administration explaining my illness and surgery and hoped for the best. To my shock, they renewed it, but this time, they gave me a 4-year residence permit. That's extremely rare for a student, as the maximum is usually 2 years. I saw it as a second chance to turn my life around. But I was still trapped in depression. I couldn't keep up with university, so I dropped out in December 2021. Instead of owning up to it, I kept lying. I stayed at home, smoking, eating, spending money on things I'm ashamed of. I told my parents I had finished my bachelor's and started a master's. I lied to everyone, my family, old friends, even on social media, pretending to be successful. The most painful part? My parents believed me. They were proud of me, proud to have a successful son. The fear from my parents led me to such a behavior. But meanwhile, they taught that I was mature, so even their behavior changed with me trusting me and being proud of having such a successful son. Their trust and pride only deepened my shame. I couldn't face how far I had fallen. I used to be a brilliant student back home, and now I was living this empty, fake life. Despite all of this, I never stopped reading. I love philosophy and sociology, and I grew as a person in many ways during these 6 years. I've met people and lived experiences that taught me a lot, but I ignored the fact that my residence permit wouldn't last forever. Now, it's about to expire, and everything is falling apart. I have no degree, no qualifications, no time to start over, and no ambition left. My parents think this is the last year they'll need to support me. The truth is about to explode, and I feel trapped. I can't go back to my country and face them. This lie would destroy my family. I'm terrified it would kill them. As the end of my residence permit approaches, the stress is unbearable. I've had panic attacks, and I've thought about ending it all more times than I can count. I just want to find a way out, a way to fix this mess I created, to start again without my parents ever knowing the truth. I know I've lied, I've failed, and I've let everyone down, but I'm still human. I recognize my mistakes, and I genuinely want to change and build a future. Please, I'm asking for help. Any advice, any solution I'll take. I just want a chance to make things right. Etta for not dropping out of a house party despite it making my ex's new fiancé uncomfortable. My ex, 27M, and I, 26F, split 2 years ago. We met through my best friend, who worked in the same theater as him then. And the reason we broke up was because he didn't think we were working anymore. It was pretty amicable. I didn't put up a fight or anything. But I strongly believed there was no reason for us to be friends anymore. That always causes problems. But I'm still friendly with his friends, and I make small chat if I run into his parents. We live a pretty close-knit environment. Don't ask me how. We live in a city, but most of my friends and his come from either the same uni or have a common hobby, or we roam around the same circles, and we definitely see each other once or twice a couple of months. My ex has a fiancée now, and I am happy for them. I have never met her. Until now I thought this didn't matter or anything. We are all adults, or so I think. One of his closest friends, Peter, just bought a house. I am friends with his girlfriend, and we are both invited to the housewarming. I didn't think any of it. However, my ex texted me yesterday, after like a year, albeit very politely, that maybe I could skip the housewarming, as he was bringing his fiancée, and she will feel uncomfortable. I was pretty weirded out by his wording, so I called him. He said, his fiancée feels uncomfortable that I would be anywhere close to him, and the fact that they both feel like I sometimes intrude into their social gatherings, just to prove I'm better than her to his friends. I got pretty mad hearing him say these things, and I asked him in what way. We are not friends, and I stopped hanging out with his friends the moment we broke up to not make things difficult for him. There were a lot of people in his I became close to, but I stepped away, just so that things weren't awkward for any future partner. And how was it my fault? My ex explained 2 of his friends didn't like or respect his GF and thought her an airhead, and so did his parents. Our circles are, I admit, full of literature and theater people, and I admit some of them can be pretentious. Again, I told him that was him being a spineless BF and not my problem. I told my ex strongly that both Peter and his GF are my friends and I would be going to their housewarming, and his relationship issues are not my problem. I have blocked him now, and his fiancée sent a long text on how she was sorry, but now I was apparently being vindictive. And how did it matter if I didn't go to a housewarming? She asked me to not make any drama and please respect her. I didn't reply and blocked her. My friends are pissed at my ex and I haven't told my friend or Peter any of it yet. I think maybe I could have handled it any other way. Edda? AITA for uninviting my sister from my wedding after she demanded I change my wedding colors because they clash with her complexion. I, 28F, am getting married to the love of my life, 30M, in 6 months. We've been planning our dream wedding for over a year, and everything was going smoothly until recently. My older sister, Sarah, 32F, has always been particular. She's very into aesthetics and her personal image. She's also used to getting her way. When we were kids, she was always the golden child, and my parents rarely told her no. We're not super close, but we're on decent terms. I asked her to be a bridesmaid, and she accepted. I was happy to have her be a part of my special day. We decided on a color scheme of dusty rose and sage green for our wedding. I love these colors, and they fit perfectly with our outdoor, garden-themed venue. I sent out a mood board to the bridal party, including Sarah, to give them an idea of the overall vibe. A few days later, Sarah called me, practically in tears. She said the colors were horrendous and would completely wash her out. She has olive skin and dark hair, and apparently, these colors are her worst nightmare. She demanded I change the entire wedding color scheme to something that would complement her better, like jewel tones. I was shocked. I tried to explain that we had already put down deposits based on these colors, and it was way too late to change everything. I also reminded her that the wedding is about me and my fiancé, not her. She went ballistic, accused me of being selfish and inconsiderate, and said I was ruining her experience. She even threatened not to come if I didn't change the colors. After a few days of her relentless pressure and guilt-tripping, I finally snapped. I told her that if she was that unhappy with the colors, then maybe it was best if she didn't come at all. I uninvited her from the wedding and the bridal party. Now, my parents are furious. They're saying I'm overreacting and being a bridezilla. They're accusing me of ruining the family over something as trivial as wedding colors. Some of my extended family are also taking her side, saying I should be more accommodating. My fiancé supports my decision, but I'm starting to feel incredibly guilty. I'm also heartbroken that this is causing such a huge rift in my family. Maybe I should have tried harder to make my sister happy, even if it meant changing my vision. So, Reddit, AITA for uninviting my sister from my wedding because she demanded I change my wedding colors to suit her complexion? Edit, holy crap. Didn't expect this kind of response. Thanks to everyone who shared their thoughts and similar experiences. It's been a huge help. Still feeling good about my decision, but family drama is never fun. I also want to clarify, she's not wearing the dusty rose and sage green. The bridesmaids are all wearing different shades of jewel tones to complement the decor. She wanted me to change the decor,